can't carry on. We must now summon the courage to discuss openly and frankly the thorny issues of religion and state of origin. This is something we have not seriously confronted. We must confront it now. The thorny issue of religion and state of origin, and agree what place, if any, religion should play in governance, and resolve on whether we want to live under a monarchical theocracy of some sort, or we want to live together as a modern federal state. I mean, since the Sokoto incident of Deborah, it almost made me to sign off that this one, it has crossed my red line. The Deborah case. And I was telling somebody last week, Deborah was executed by her classmates. They were sharing the same WhatsApp group in the classmates, and she was alleged to have written something offensive in the WhatsApp group, not in town, not in published newspaper. And her very classmates killed her in the most brutal manner. When that happened, I almost completely signed off that I don't belong here. I don't belong to this jungle. So we need to discuss openly the place of religion. How can I be judged by the standard of another religion and be condemned without any hearing? It really needs to be discussed. We need to discuss the issue of ethnicity and the right of every ethnic group. Why should it be that I am from Kogi State, and while everybody is talking about becoming president of Nigeria, nobody from my place can talk about it because we are a small group? Why? Why can't my brother aspire to be president of Nigeria? We need to discuss the issue of ethnicity frankly and openly. Whether we want to live in a multi-ethnic, multi-religious entity founded on the principle of justice, equity, equality, and mutual respect, it needs to be discussed. Otherwise, we're not going anywhere. Have election after election, we're not going anywhere. Build infrastructures, they will burn down one day. We're not going anywhere. If we are not able to resolve these thorny issues once and for all, I would humbly submit that we allow any geopolitical entity desiring to succeed to do so peacefully before it is too late. For quite frankly, as presently constituted, I see that time is running out for the Nigerian nation. Now we need a national network of thinking Nigerians. We need a network of thinking Nigerians from north to south and east to west who are prepared to engage in a wholesome, peaceful revolt against a degenerate governance system that is daily inflicting fatal wounds on the people and turning the impoverished masses against themselves in an orgy of violence. I said earlier, I run, the MC said in Namibia, no, it's in Kenya, I run a psycho-spiritual institute where we train people to master's degree level in psychotherapy and spirituality. And I'm an honorary member of the Nigerian Psychological Association, and I am, in the last few years, I've been concerned about trauma. We run in Abuja here, we run psychotrauma healing, short course for doctors and psychologists and social workers and volunteers. And we have come to discover that when we gather 40 people for a period of time to study trauma, we do it in collaboration with Nasarawa State University Department of Psychology. We bring people, normal people like you sitting down here, to learn how to help people who are traumatized. You know what happens? We discover that everybody here is traumatized. If we should subject you to psychological tests, I bet that many of you will be having all kinds of maladaptive behavior, psychopathologies that you don't know you have. The reason is that Nigeria has happened to us too many times. And it has happened to us very negatively. And so people, I used in my lecture last Monday, I used the Asaba massacre, for example, which has not been seriously repented for. We have not had any national ceremony to repent for the Asaba massacre. Those of you who know the story, it is horrendous. It is a stain in our history that till today there is no national day to repent for it. We keep one atrocity after the other, we keep inflicting on people. People whose grandfathers suffered the Asaba massacre. Do you think it is not in them? Do you think it's not in them? There is what is called intergenerational trauma. Nigeria has inflicted both multi-generational, intergenerational, communal, and individual trauma on all of us. That's why we are all not well. Why do you think there's this level of corruption? People who are well, can they be this corrupt? Somebody stealing 80 billion naira, 80 billion, which he and his grandchildren, children and grandchildren can never spend in 1,000 years. For is it not rats that gather like that, things they don't need, or either rats or mad people who gather things that they don't need? So something is definitely wrong with our mental faculties, and we need to attend to it seriously. That's why Luke Stella is doing psychotrauma healing skills training to help people. Some of you can come for the training. But on a serious note, we need a network of thinking Nigerians to revolt against the present degenerate system. A system that promotes thugs, cult gang leaders, internet fraudsters, ex-convicts, ethnic bigots, religious extremists, known rogues and treasury looters, and such remnants of primitive feudalism that we call political godfathers. Because a society cannot have credible and honorable leaders when the process that leads to their emergence is corrupt, bankrupt, decadent, and degenerate. We need a network of thinking Nigerians from among Christians and Muslim population and from the diverse ethnicities across the country to help save our country and its people from the politics of bloodletting, greed and acrimony that is largely superintended by shameless prostitutes of power who often have nothing to show for their stupendous wealth except that they have held political offices as legislators and governors and ministers and board chairmen and chief executives of federal parastatals or party chieftains, during which time they often so recklessly and callously looted the state's resources entrusted to them that soon they become richer than the institution over which they superintended. They habitually use these often ill-gotten wealth to further enslave the already emasculated people, constantly recycling themselves in position of power, habituating corruption, and normalizing violence in our national landscape. During the last political party primaries, Nigerians witnessed, and you and I witnessed the ignominious spectacle of the open auctioning of delegates' votes with bundles of dollars or Ghana must go bags of naira. Many of these agents of our national ruination have also been positioning their sons and daughters in key political positions, and others in such strategic and juicy federal agencies and institutions as CBN, NNPC, LNG, NDDC, NCC. I know people, I'm told about people who are giving letters to some of these agencies in their houses. The children of big men got letters of appointment at home, because what they actually do is that a number of their children that have gone cuckoo, they kind of bribe them to come back from overseas with an appointment letter to one of these big agencies. That's where we are. And a lot of young people are in those agencies who are regularly going in and out of rehabilitation. So those who are going to be making our financial policies, those who are going to be running our NNPC, those who are going to be running a lot of these things, a number of them are children who are sent overseas, who got into drugs, who are being rehabilitated, and they are now the ones that are positioned in key positions. Do you think this country is going to survive under that kind of circumstance? That's why I tell you that anybody who thinks that as presently constituted, this country is going to survive, you need your head examined, if it is as presently constituted. The kind of situation I have just described about people entrenching a set of family dynasties in key national infrastructure, it is a form of historical and multi-generational injustice, and it will only end in a violent revolution. I'm not cursing, it's just the order of affairs. That's how things happen. Conclusion. the need for grassroots education and mobilization for real social change. In Nigeria, if Nigeria is to be saved beyond the 2023 election ritual, we need, as a matter of utmost urgency, the kind of restructuring that will demolish the ignominious system which props up low-grade, vile, and ignominious characters for high public office, and begin to work on a new system that is to be founded on sound knowledge, demonstrable competence, and unassailable integrity. We must do all we can to wake up the sleeping giant called Nigeria. The ignominious system has endured for too long, largely because of the appalling state of illiteracy and political ignorance across the country. Schools and colleges, religious institutions, progressive political parties, and all manner of civil society organizations must begin, such as the Just Friends Club, must begin to invest heavily in civic and political education at all levels. Democracy presupposes a certain measure of enlightenment and civic awareness among the people who have the right of periodically choosing their leaders. Without such enlightenment and awareness on the part of the masses, majority rule can often camouflage the dictatorship of primitive feudal lords, whose poor subjects have accepted their deplorable state as God's design for them and are unable to see how things could ever be different. Yes, as the prophet Hosea says, my people die for lack of knowledge. Those of us who desire wholesome change in Nigeria must get into the trenches quickly and engage the poor victims of the Nigerian leadership misadventure in the empowering process of critical social analysis for grassroots political emancipation. I thank you for listening. And I want to apologize to the panelists that in another 5-10 minutes I need to leave because I have a 12:30 lecture at the ongoing programming.